Hi, everyone. Today I have with me Jane Jackson. She's an international career management coach, speaker, LinkedIn trainer, better get your LinkedIn ready, everyone, and podcast host. She's the author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Navigating Career Crossroads, and host of Your Career podcast. Having worked in Hong Kong, San Francisco, London, Singapore, and now Sydney, Jane has spent the last 19 years coaching her clients to confidently take control of their careers, build a strong personal brand, and create a career that is rewarding and satisfying. Isn't that why we're all here? Thanks so much for coming on the show, Jane. It's so wonderful to see you.
Oh, I'm very excited. Thanks so much for inviting me because I've been looking forward to speaking with you.
Yeah, well, you've had an incredibly non-linear career journey. Well, so how did you imagine your career path being back when you were in school?
Oh, my imagination ran wild. I actually, to be quite honest, when I was in school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until really the last year or so that I thought, I'm going to be a graphic designer. I'm going to be so good because I could draw a little bit. And that's what I actually did when I went to college. And I was in Hong Kong. That's where I grew up. And I went to junior school and high school there. And I went to college in Minnesota. And I did a technical illustration and graphic design degree. And I went back to Hong Kong and started working.
How did you go from Hong Kong to Minnesota? How did that happen?
Because a former boyfriend was there and he said, oh, come on, wouldn't it be so much fun if we went to college together? And my mother was not happy about that. But I said, no, I can't possibly go anywhere. She wanted me to go to London because I'm half English, half Chinese. I grew up in Hong Kong. My mum was Chinese and my father English. But she had dreams of me going to the UK. But I thought, no, I'm going to follow my heart and my education is going to be in the US. So I went over there and luckily they had a good design program. And so that's what I did. I ended up with a degree in technical illustration and graphic design, which has nothing to do with what I'm doing today.
Passions change, they evolve, they grow, but you were following your heart in more than one way. You were following it, you were falling in love with your partner at the time and then also your career journey. Well, so describe a day in your life today as a career management coach.
As a career management coach, well, I've been coaching now for 19 years. And I have to say, before I go into the day of the life, is that being a career coach has been one of the most rewarding experiences because it enables me to really follow my true career anchor. And I'm so passionate about helping people and seeing the smile on their face when they have that aha moment as to why they are the person they are and they know the direction that they want to go into. That's fantastic. So a day in the life of a career coach, well, for me, it's really varied, to be quite honest. It depends on which day it is. Maybe if I give you an example of last week was quite fun. So Monday I was coaching. And so what I do is in the mornings, I usually spend about an hour on LinkedIn, because that's where I interact with my clients and I do my marketing because I run my own coaching practice. So obviously you need to market your business as well. Most of my business comes through referrals after so many years, but it's still good to be visible and build your brand on social media, LinkedIn in particular. So I'm on LinkedIn for an hour, interacting with people, reaching out, asking my clients how they're going, all of that sort of thing. And then my coaching starts and I coach via Zoom, much as we're doing now. And so I record my sessions with my coaching clients, and it depends on what phase they're in their career as to what we discuss. And then after our coaching sessions, I send them out the recording of our coaching sessions so that they can refer back to it. Now, that's what my day really looks like. So it's coaching session after coaching session, which is great, and each person is different. But on Tuesday last week, I was invited to speak for iCare at their Career Expo and Job Readiness Seminar. And they look after people who are the long-term unemployed. And that really is kind of like a passion project for me. So I tootled off to Liverpool, which is about an hour and a half drive from where I live, and presented on job readiness and how to really reinvent yourself and kickstart your job search when you're feeling stuck, because these were the long-term unemployed. And that was really rewarding as well. And So when I get to present, I get quite excited. And then on Friday, I presented at the IEEE, which is the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, at their networking evening. And that was all on LinkedIn for career success. And presenting to engineers is so much fun because they don't think about marketing. They think about the technical stuff. So this was professional development and great fun. So I get to speak and I get to coach and I get to market my own business. And I have a podcast as well. So I interview a couple of podcast guests every week. And I host networking events called LinkedIn Local Sydney events. Actually, you might be interested because there might be a LinkedIn Local San Diego where you are, because my co-host, Julian Bullock, and I, we both train on LinkedIn, and we host LinkedIn Local events, which are fantastic networking events where there's no pitching and no selling. And that's so much fun because people just come along and they get to know the real people behind their LinkedIn profiles. And that's what everyone needs to do if they want to market themselves, is to develop good relationships without selling.
Yeah. Oh, no, I love that. I mean, you've left me with so many questions here because you have such an eclectic background and you're helping such diverse groups of people. I'm really curious, after that speaking event, what can you share with some of our listeners that may be feeling stuck, that may be feeling like I'm not fresh out of college. I've been unemployed for a couple years and I'm getting rejection letters, or I'm just not feeling motivated to apply. How do we get out of that rut?
Actually, that's really interesting. There's one more thing that I did last night. I have a membership site called the Careers Academy. And in the Careers Academy, we have a group coaching call every month. And last night was my August group coaching call. And one of the participants on that call, she's been in between roles, having gone through a redundancy for 8 months now. And she recently joined the Careers Academy because she was feeling stuck, just as you were saying. And she was saying, Jane, what do I do about that gap in my resume? Because she says, recruiters are going to say, well, what have you been doing? And she goes, do I pretend? Do I extend the months on my resume so that it looks like there's no gap? And I said, no, you have to tell the truth. The truth is always going to come out, but you need to explain what have you been doing during that period, because it could be that you decided to take a holiday and you were traveling. So world travel, you do learn things there and learn about cultures and expand your mind, and you get to relax. If you've been working for a long time, you needed a break.
So you shouldn't just say that you've been binging on Netflix for the last 8 months, is what you're telling us.
No, probably that wouldn't be a good idea.
Maybe unless not that truth, maybe not that honest.
No, but the thing is that you could have been taking time upgrading your skills, getting a new certification or qualification, or you've been honing your skills in a certain area, or maybe you worked on a personal project that demonstrated certain skill sets. Perhaps you renovated your house, and that would have been project management because you had to liaise with lots of different trades and get things done and organize your time. So whatever you did during that break, you need to think, have I actually learned something, and how can I turn it into an accomplishment statement that will be relevant for the next step in my career? So don't feel despondent if you have been taking whether you're a fresh graduate and it's taking you time to get that first role, or whether you've had a role and then you've left because maybe there was a restructure and you were laid off or made redundant, and then you have to find another role. It's always quite an anxious time when you are not in a job, because people say, oh, so what do you do? And you might think, oh, well, what do I say if I don't have a job title? What I always think that the important thing is to know who you are and what you can do, and talk about your strengths. Because say if I wasn't working as a career coach now, I'm still a career coach. I'm just taking a break. Right? So if anyone were to ask me, I would say I'm a career management coach. I specialize in transition coaching. So have your pitch ready so that people know what it is, the value that you bring, rather than your employment status. That really is the important thing.
And that's really what they want to know at the end of the day. They're asking that question because we hear it so often and it just comes so naturally to us. But at the end of the day, they want to know, what are your strengths? What are your interests? What are you passionate about? And if you can speak your passion, it doesn't matter if you're technically employed at that point. No one's saying, what salary are you making right now? No, we're not checking, and no one's checking in on that right now. And if you are applying for a job and you do have that gap, like you mentioned, and maybe you are just binging on Netflix, take a note right now and say, okay, what else could I be doing? Could I be working on a project? Could I be building upon my skills? Could I be joining a meetup group or going to a LinkedIn event and starting to hone in on my strengths and further discover how I can connect to my passion career? And I think that is admirable that you're on this journey and you can speak to that. And just seeing all the different ways. I love what you said about accomplishment statements. So realizing that just how everything really is transferable and placing those stories into these statements of your accomplishments. And accomplishment doesn't necessarily mean that you did it at the job site working for an employer. Think of all the different kinds of accomplishments we had in our lives. And growing up, we never talked about accomplishments in the lens of a job. We spoke about our accomplishments like, yeah, I got a medal in karate, right? So get back to that kind of mindset. What are some things that you're proud of? And, cut yourself some slack.
Yeah, I think the important thing is to think that even if it wasn't in an employed state that you did something, say if you were volunteering, or maybe you're coaching Little League baseball, or maybe you're coaching the netball team, or maybe you're on a netball team or a sport or whatever it might be.
You're going to have to clarify for my American listeners here. Netball?
Netball. It's like basketball, but for women.
Oh.
But with netball, when you've got the ball, you don't bounce the ball and run. Once you've got the ball, all you can do is you can pivot, with one leg on the ground, and then you
kind of like ultimate frisbee.
Yeah, whatever ultimate frisbee is. Yes, okay, all right. We have a cross-cultural divide. But okay, so frisbees, I know that's all you throw a frisbee. I didn't realize it was a major competitive sport, but I guess it is now. But netball is basketball for women, but no running when you've got the ball. So it's quite challenging. But say if you were coaching a sport or if you were playing a sport, the things that you learn there that are transferable are the leadership skills, communication skills, being able to motivate other people, being a team player. Those are all skills that will be very useful in an employment situation as well.
Exactly. All right. Well, so tell me about the object you brought and how it reflects your passion.
The object I brought. Now, if anyone looks at my LinkedIn profile, then they'll know, because in my about section, the summary section, it actually tells people what to mention when they want to connect with me. And it's my way of finding out if someone has actually read my profile before requesting to connect, because they know they need to mention something. 3 things to mention. This one I brought, my object is one thing. This is, I think if you can see here, this you see there, that's me, okay, leading my dance troupe. And so I'm very passionate about dance.
Yeah, and for those listening to the audio, make sure to check out the video. So we saw a beautiful picture of you with your dance team.
Did you watch that video? Oh my goodness, it was a while ago. But so my passions are cats, golf, and dancing. And so it's a bit hard to catch my cat at the moment and bring him up in front of the screen. So I thought I'd show you the picture of dance. And dance I love because that actually, it's building a team, motivating people. And I had a teenage dance troupe, and all the angst that teenagers go through. I found that I was coaching, I was mentoring, I was hugging them, I was drying their tears, as well as choreographing and ensuring that we're all together and in sync when we were doing our dancing. It was such a wonderful time.
Yeah, I think that connects to exactly what you're doing right now, and just an example of how everything is transferable. So often we forget to pull from these fun moments in our lives to realize that that's when we really are having our strengths shine. And we were having so much fun that we didn't even realize that was a story you could tell. That's a story you could tell an employer. It's okay. The story's fun. That's even better, because you're going to be bright and shiny when you talk about it, and you're going to be lit up and energized just the way that you light up when you show that photo. Like, I can see the pride from across the screen, right? So, and you can hear it in your voice. And that's the kind of story that we all want to be telling.
When people are in the job search, one of the most important things to remember is that people hire for attitude and potential. And so if you've got a great attitude, even if you don't have quite the skill set as yet, people will hire you because they know that you can be trained and you're willing to learn. One of the most important things is to be open and curious and really willing to try something new. Because I love to work with people who with a can-do attitude. Who go, I don't know how this is done, but I'm going to figure out how to do it myself, and I'm going to do it. And that makes me excited, because I know that it's going to be fun and enjoyable working with that person, because there's so much positivity that exudes from them. There's nothing worse than working with someone who is, oh no, it won't work. We've done it before. No, we've tried that. No, because it just drags everybody down. And it's not good in a team environment either. So think about your attitude when you walk in for an interview, because if you've got a positive attitude, people will remember you as well, because you're more enjoyable to be around.
Yeah. And I think that, some people might be listening and be like, I don't know if that's my attitude or if that's the way that I come off, and if you're coaching someone that doesn't feel that that is their attitude, how do you help them discover that? Like, how do you help them rise up to that, bring their energy to that level? I mean, I can't imagine, because I know that that's me, that's my personality, right? But not everybody has that same feeling and approach.
Yeah, usually people don't exude enthusiasm because they don't really know what they're enthusiastic about. So one of the things that I like to do when I first start working with my clients is that we do a lot of self-assessments, because it's really important to understand yourself. And I always start with your personal and your professional values. So what is it that really drives you? And once they've identified what their values might be, we have a long conversation about it to make sure that we get them in the right order of priority, what's most important to them. And usually we have a few aha moments, because when you say what your value could be, maybe it's affiliation, or maybe it's work-life balance, or maybe it's high earnings potential, or the ability to be able to continue learning, I always like to find out why. And the reason behind it is very, very interesting once you start having the coaching conversation. So we find out the values, we find out what your existing skills and knowledge are, and then whatever your skills are, how high is the enjoyment level? Because you could be really good at something, but the enjoyment level is so low that if you keep doing it, you get totally burnt out. And then what motivates you, what demotivates you, and why? What motivates you about being in a team, or what motivates you about your manager, or what motivates you about an environment or the culture, and why? And then also what demotivates you, or really what gets on your goat and just annoys you so much that it makes you think, oh, I really don't want to be here. We need to know why as well, because there could be some environments that always make you feel good, and other environments that just drag you down a little bit. You need to identify what they are, so that when you're interviewing, you can ask the right questions to ensure you're not marketing yourself into an undesirable environment moving forward.
Yeah. And what I love most about your answer there is that it's not like, find it, muster it up within yourself to have this energy to exude at your interview, right? It's not, you're putting up a front. We're not performing for the interview. You need to first find it within yourself, that thing that does bring you joy. And is it an activity? Is it a strength? Is it a value? Because I think it's your interest, strengths, and values that come together that define your passion, really. And I love that level 1 through 10, right? Could you mark it as a 1 through 10 in terms of priority, or how much energy does it bring you and excitement does it bring you? And then the why, because, oh my God, when you can give it context, the why you enjoy that, that's when you start storytelling. And when you storytell and you speak about your dance troupe and the why, and how, it was your daughter's team, or it was, you got to see the struggles of the team, but you helped bring them up, and then you won, or you didn't. And everyone, though, had a great time and had fun performing, and getting to see the reaction on their faces, or see them go through that journey, and what that was like for you. Like, that's the story. That's your why. And when you can tell that, it really paints a picture of your journey, of your career journey. And career journey is everything and anything leading up to today, to this point. So if you're listening out there, whether it is a formal job or it's a fun activity, really explore that why. I love that. Well, so I want to go a little bit back into your career journey before we wrap up. What was your aha moment for yourself in that you wanted to be a career coach? Because it wasn't just from illustration to career coach. So what did that look like?
Oh gosh, okay. So from graphic design and technical illustration and returning to Hong Kong where I started my career, and I was looking for jobs as a graphic designer, and then I realized I wasn't that good at it. I was employed in a PR company, public relations, because they thought, okay, you've got some, and I can talk. I talk for a living, so I've always been able to talk, but I didn't realize that could end up becoming a job. So I was hired.
Isn't that great? All those years we got in trouble in class. I think I was seriously called Princess Talks a lot by one teacher. And I mean, I thought the nickname was hysterical, but like we got in trouble in school for talking. But now, we're leveraging that as a strength. So who knows? Some may say is a weakness or get you in trouble can later become your strength.
It's a wonderful thing to have, because, now as a professional speaker as well, to be paid to talk, how good is that? But in public relations, I was using my design skills on the side because I couldn't possibly use it as a full career. But after a while, I realized that working agency side in Hong Kong, it wasn't enough. There was something missing. There was always something missing. And then I moved to London and I was working there, but client side. So I worked for a company called United Biscuits doing internal public relations. And again, there was still something missing. Now, concurrent with that, I really enjoyed fitness. So I was running, and I ended up running a few marathons, and I was super, super fit. And when I got married and I was pregnant, and I thought, after I have a baby, what can I do? Because I want to have the flexibility, because, once you become a mum, you definitely want flexibility in your life. So I thought, I love running and fitness so much, I think I'll train to become a fitness instructor. And so that's what I did. And this is back in the days when it was aerobics and step Reebok and all that sort of thing. And I got so heavily into it because whatever I do, I want to be really good at it. And I ended up entering some aerobic championships, and I got the silver medal in the Singapore Nike National Aerobic Championship, because from London I moved to Singapore, and that's what I was doing. And I ended up being sponsored by Nike as a Nike Elite for 2 years, promoting total body conditioning around Singapore. Fantastic. Now, as a fitness instructor turned personal trainer, I found, and this is where the transition started happening, I found that as a personal trainer, people tell you things, and you end up being a little bit of a therapist as well. It's not just fitness, it's a lot of mindset. And I got more and more interested in the mindset side of things and what it is that motivates people. And from there, concurrent with my dancing, now I actually have multiple projects on at the same time because I just have lots of energy and I love it. But concurrent with the dancing.
Right. The path is never as beautifully laid out as when we tell it in the future, right? So when you're looking back, you're like, oh, look how all of these dots just worked out and connected so beautifully. But when you're in that process of discovering it, you're kind of like, this is messy. This is scary. I'm about to make a change. And it can be a little bit of feel like a risk.
Yeah, but the thing is that sometimes opportunities present themselves, and if you allow them to grow and not be afraid, and you say yes, I always say just say yes, because through the dancing, I was offered an opportunity to work with a large global bank, because one of the women who's the mother of one of the teenage dancers, she was head of organizational development at the bank. And she said to me, Jane, you do that confidence building thing so well. Can you do it for our employees as well? And to be quite honest, I'd never done that before. I didn't realize I happened to be good at this. And so I said, well, this is interesting. Let me find out. And to cut a long story short, that ended up in my transition into corporate training. And I gained qualifications in corporate training and started delivering my first program, which was called Yes, I Can, which was a confidence building program that I developed for this bank for middle managers targeted for promotion who was technically competent but didn't have the confidence to step up. And that was just boom. For me, it was so much joy. And from there, I was offered another opportunity because you relate so well with people, Jane. Are you interested in this coaching role? And that's how I transitioned into working for a global outplacement company. And the minute I did that, and this is much later on in life for me, so it's taken a number of years, I felt like I was home because my career anchor is dedication to a cause or service. Anything that I do, if it's not meaningful, there's something missing. And I follow my anchor now because every day I get to help someone do something with their life and it makes them feel satisfied. So I'm satisfying my anchor, I'm helping other people, it all comes around, and it's one of the most joyous times ever. I love being a career coach and helping people to just find their sweet spot.
Yeah. Well, I love hearing your story. And I loved how when you were in your element, when you were doing the thing that connected to your anchor and you were helping other people, that's when even more opportunities came about. That's when more doors opened because you were exuding, you were speaking your passion, and other people take notice and then they want to connect you and they want to help you because this isn't a solo journey, right? There are other people that are out there that have ideas of where your career could go. And your answer to that, having that yes, really, really helped you and can help so many of our listeners. Can we be saying yes more to these opportunities that are coming our way versus, yeah, I'm okay with where I'm at, or I don't know if I could do that. Instead saying, maybe, yes, maybe I can learn that. It does connect to my anchor. It does connect to my why.
Yeah, I need to say though, don't be afraid to ask for help, to ask for information, to reach out and say, hey, your role sounds quite interesting. Can you tell me about a day in the life of your role? Because the more information you have, the more power you have and the better decisions that you can make as well. So by expanding your network and reaching out to people, that's one of the best things you can do for career management, especially if you're a young graduate and you don't know what all the roles are. When I was at university, I had no idea that there was a career coach job out there for me many years down the track. I was thinking more of the traditional type of roles. So be open, explore, have a curious mind, and talk to as many people about their careers as possible. And that way you can make some really informed decisions.
Right. Because once you discover what is possible, then you're like, that might actually work for me. Well, so as a LinkedIn expert, what LinkedIn advice do you have for our listeners on what's something that they can really do to level up their LinkedIn?
Okay. Well, I'm not going to tell you all the usual stuff that most LinkedIn trainers tell you about your profile, your cover image, your summary, because those are things that you need to complete your profile. You need to have information in there so that you can be found with the keywords. But what I would say...
And if you don't know, LinkedIn will tell you. They'll email you. They'll say, finish that profile.
Yeah, exactly. But the important thing is when you're writing your summary, the about section in your LinkedIn profile, let's not have it written in third person, because some people write it in third person and it's all very formal. This is social media, it's professional networking, and we want to know about you. So let your own personality come through. Speak in first person, what I'm passionate about is, and let people know who you are. And also remember that you need to position yourself as a solution to someone's problems in order for you to be hired. So whatever direction you decide you want to move into, make your summary project you into that direction. I actually have a LinkedIn for Career Success online program that's very popular that you can find on my website at janejacksoncoach.com that might be interesting for you. So if you'd like, then just let me know.
Yeah. Well, so be sure to reach out to Jane for exactly that. And I listened to one of her podcasts before we hopped on this interview, and it was specifically about personal branding on LinkedIn. So if you want more ways to level up your LinkedIn, be sure to check out Jane's podcast. And that information will all be in the show notes of this episode. Well, thank you so much, Jane, for coming onto the show. And for everyone listening, I really want you to take a piece of Jane's advice today, and I want you to write one accomplishment statement today. Okay. And then let's connect that to our LinkedIn. Can you add that accomplishment statement to your LinkedIn? And is it in the form of your passion? Is it that you start off with my passion is, or is it something where you can just tell your story about that accomplishment in that personal about you section? Remember to start with your I statement, make it first person, not third person. And let's level up our LinkedIns. Let's get our story out there. Let's start speaking our passion so that we can see doors open for us.
Yeah, and I would love that. In fact, if you've done it, then connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me I've done my accomplishment statement. Jane, have a look. Because I'd love to give you a quick critique and a little bit of just a quick note of advice as to how you might be able to improve it if it needs improving.
Yeah. Well, hey, how good is that? Right there. You've heard it from Jane herself. She said she's going to help level up your LinkedIn if you take this assignment seriously. So reach out to her. I want to see it as well. And I'd be happy to give a shout out to you on the podcast. Well, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Jane, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to be a part of your career journey. For all of those that are listening in, that's my passion, is helping you connect what it is that you're passionate about to your career, because it is possible. So remember, this is not a solo journey. You're not in this alone. I'm here to help. Please reach out. Be sure to check out findyourpassioncareer.com and reach out if you have any questions at Amanda@findyourpassioncareer.com. Thanks, everyone. Bye.